Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Pointy Not Sharp. Today we're taking a look at the US M6 bayonet. Now this bayonet is made to fit the M14 rifle as well as the modern versions of that rifle, being the Mark 14 EBR or Enhanced Battle Rifle and the M39 Enhanced Marksman's Rifle. These bayonets were produced from 1960 until 1969 and they were made by a number of different manufacturers. So first off, the Aerial Cutlery Company made them from 1960 until 62. Columbus Milpar and Manufacturing Company made them from 61 all the way until 67, so a very long period there. The Imperial Knife Company, which is what we have here, they had two productions. So the first was 62 to 63, and the second was 67 to 68. And finally, we have a fourth unknown manufacturer with manufacturer code of AN, so we don't know who that is, but they made a couple as well. Possibly prototypes, we don't know. And across all those manufacturers, there was a total of 1,633,000 made, so very large production. But considering how many were made, you don't see a terrible lot on the collector's market, which leads me to believe they were probably gifted to other countries as military assistance, or maybe still sitting in stockpiles, I don't know, but they're not nearly as common as a lot of the other US bayonets. Now we'll jump into the history. At the end of World War II, the US were using the M1 Garand and they were already looking at a replacement. And in the early 50s, they had a trial between the T-44, which was essentially an M14, and a T-48, which was a FN-FAL. Personally, I believe they should have gone with the FAL, but hey, they chose the M14. Who knows why? Now, in terms of bayonets, they were looking at a prototype bayonet called the T12, which is essentially what we have here. And what they liked about that bayonet was that it had a floating bayonet catch. So it's got a horizontal spring, which means that when you fire the rifle, like the FAL Type A bayonet, which has a free recoil system, the idea being that when you fire, the bayonet, the inertia of the bayonet will hold it in place, and the rifle will move around it, essentially, and the spring in the handle will absorb that recoil, and the bayonet won't affect the harmonics or the accuracy of the rifle. I find it a bit funny that it's a lot of engineering that went into maintaining the accuracy or preventing the bayonet from affecting the accuracy of the rifle, when the M14 had a lot of quality control issues due to, the fact they were made very, very cheaply. Manufacturers, when they were bidding for manufacturing the M14, they underquoted and they had to cut corners, so there were a lot of quality control issues and a lot of accuracy issues arising from that. Anyway, cool bayonet. So I find it interesting as well that both the FAL and the M14 both had this sort of free recoil system inside it, which interesting. Anyway, the M14 didn't last in service very long. It was only a couple of years. In 1967, it was officially replaced by the M16. However, they are still in service, and so are these bayonets, but only in a ceremonial capacity. So I think it's the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier in the US. They use these all chromed up with wooden handles. Absolutely gorgeous. On top of that, these bayonets were also produced by other manufacturers. So they were produced in Germany for Haiti, however you pronounce that, and they're also produced in South Korea for a South Korean version of the rifle. Now, all that aside, we'll jump into the construction, and the keen eye might notice it's kind of a mix between an M5 and an M7, and being an M6, that makes sense. So, got M5 at the top, M6 just here, and I'll chuck an M7 beneath it. So the M5, they've all got the M3 fighting knife style of blade, so don't worry about that. The M5 has a press button in here with a lever running through the handle that drops the bayonet lug when depressed. The M6 has the same system. The M5 has a lug for the gas block of the M1 Garand, whether the M6 has a muzzle ring for going over the muzzle, so it's 22mm. 22mm? Nope, smaller. There you go, it's not a Stanag muzzle device. It's got a muzzle ring that's smaller than 22mm. And then you jump down to the M7, we don't have that button, we've got claws, but we do have a muzzle ring, so you sort of see the progression through them. Anyway, we'll jump into the actual bayonet itself. So, as with all of the bayonets with an M3 fighting knife style of blade, we have long true edge and half false edge, both are sharpened. We've got like a phosphate finish on it, which is quite nice. Got a nice thick, beefy cross guard, which is a lot wider than like the M4s and the M7s, as you can see. Wider through here, it doesn't taper down. Then we have two plastic grips retained by screws and our press button just here. Moving down, we've got a base plate on the bottom, and as you can see, the tang is peened into the base plate. The mortise is sort of flared out a bit to assist with fixing to the rifle, which I quite like, and you don't see that repeated on the M7, unfortunately. And I'm not sure how well I'll be able to show you this, but there's our lug on the inside. I'm going to press the button. It simply lowers like that. So that's the external construction of the bayonet. We might jump into the internal construction. So I've just removed the two screws from the handles. They're both still in the left portion of handle. And having a look at this, you can see got a nice big lever attaching to our lug up here. And the spring is actually just up here inside the button at an angle, like almost a 45-degree angle. So that way, this can move backwards and forwards, as well as up and down. And you'll see we've got, if I can get this to focus where I want it, we've got like a oval recess for the pivot pin. So the pivot pin can move backwards and forwards like that, and that's to accommodate the recoil. So pretty convoluted, but not too difficult to understand, and probably a bit on the expensive side to manufacture, honestly. Then looking at the grips, they're just plastic, I assume, with metal inserts for the pins. Finally, we'll take a look at the construction of the scabbard. So I believe it's a fiberglass painted green, but I've been told it's a green plastic, so make of that what you want. Got a metal end cap and locket. Got a nice big leg strap, and then a canvas frog with a belt loop, model 1910 wire hanger, and a hilt strap with a snap on it. Finally, we'll jump into the markings. Now, you find a couple of markings on these, but not a terrible lot. So, first off, you have your model mark, which will be US M6, and that'll be here on the crossguard. And then on the reverse of the crossguard down here, that's where you'll usually find your manufacturer. So it'll either be Ariel, Columbus, Imperial, or AN on the US ones. I can't speak for the South Korean and Haitian ones, I haven't looked into them. Then you might also have a DAS mark just here on the crossguard, and that's a Defense Acceptance Stamp. However, you won't find it on all of them. And the ones that don't have it, it doesn't mean they weren't issued to US soldiers. It just means they're not there for whatever reason. It doesn't seem to be rhyme or rhythm to it. On top of that, you also have a mold number just here inside the grip, 7267652. And we know that's a mold number, not any kind of serial number, because no one is putting a new number into the mold every single time for 1,633,000 individual bayonets. That's madness. And finally, the last marking we have is on the scabbard. It's just a US M8A1 scabbard, and that's the marking you find, as well as the manufacturer beneath it, PWH. I can't remember which one that is, but I've done many previous videos where I've spoken about the different manufacturers of these US M8A1 scabbards. And these scabbards are used across many different bayonets, from M4, M5, M6, M7, absolutely stacks of them. Anyway, guys, that's all I've got to say about the M6 bayonet. I've been meaning to cover off one of these for the longest time, but they just don't pop up down here in Australia very often. I was lucky that a friend up in Queensland wanted to buy this one up on eBay, and we've got current restrictions in Queensland that you can't buy bayonets on eBay. So I bought this one on his behalf. I'm going to send it up to him shortly, and gave me the opportunity to have a look at it before I sent it up to him. Anyway, very cool bayonet, and thoroughly enjoyed having a look at it, and thanks for watching.